And one person in our group said that, I could have it's tough to have the conversation. I'm passionate about it, but sometimes, people think I take it a little too far. Sometimes I'm the same way. So how can we have some ground expectations when we're working with our teachers, knowing that, I think for us, we probably could just do like, small groups, not like a whole group, but some ideas and some expectations in those groups.
Yeah, I think take it in small pieces. Try to assess where your people are on this journey. And you may have to start at the very beginning just with some definitions, just establishing some common language. When we say racist teaching and when we say anti-racist teaching, what does that mean? Establishing some common language so people know what you're talking about. Implicit biases, microaggressions, what are those things? So you know first what you're talking about. And then working to help them understand what examples are. What do I mean by this? So when I say, I'm hearing microaggressions in our hallways, be ready to give some examples. If you've walked up to a student and put your hand in their hair and said, I just wanted to feel what your hair feels like, that's a microaggression. It may be a macroaggression, depending on how far you take it. If you do it to another adult, that's a microaggression. And so helping people to understand by examples what kinds of things you mean, helping them to see how implicit biases can impact what happens in a classroom. If a student from their own cultural training has been taught not to look an adult in the eye because that's disrespectful, and now you're trying to talk to a student who won't look you in the eye and you take that as a disciplinary violation, that's a problem. There's some bias going on in there that you need to get behind and get under, but you have to be willing to give some examples. And sometimes you have to give some hard examples of things you see in your own building to help people understand. We're not talking about this is something that happens over in the other school district. This is something that's happening right here with us. I always try to speak to people in a way that I think they can receive positively what I'm trying to say, because otherwise I say it. And that varies from group to group, and leave people with some respect and dignity on the backside of it. So I always say, if there are microaggressions going on, for example, call them out, but do it in such a way that you leave the person with their dignity. So that may mean a private conversation, saying, this is what I heard. This is what I felt when I heard it. This is what it sounded like. This is how someone else might interpret it. Not sure what you meant, but I need you to know that when you say it, at least some of us receive it like this. And I would ask you to find a different way to express whatever it is that you're trying to express. But I think you just start slow. I start with implicit biases and work through those, giving examples, giving opportunities, helping people to understand how to determine what biases they have, and self-reflection as a first step, asking a friend for help as a second step. And there are lots of implicit biases tests out there that are available as well.
Thank you. So we have about a minute and a half left with Dr. Grant. And then I'm going to ask her, while I thank everyone for attending, to just give us one thing. If you could give us one piece of advice for our next step. When we walk into our buildings tomorrow, after having attended this wonderful PD this evening, what's one thing that you would advise us to do about as it regards to this work?
One thing that I think is easy to do is to walk in with new eyes. Put yourself in the place of a student or a new parent into your building for the very first time, and look and see what you see, and listen and hear what the language is like in your hallways. Listen to how teachers are speaking and working with students, and determine whether or not it's inclusive. I think just, do your best to put on new eyes. We kind of get used to things, and sometimes we have to step back and say, let me just pretend like this is not the place I come to every day, and let me see it in that way.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Grant. This was awesome. So much to think about, so much, as I tell my kids, to marinate on tonight. And also any other guests that we had here that joined us for this awesome work that we're doing with the PDS network. Thank you so much for attending. We really, really appreciate your time.
And thank you for all of the work that you're doing across our state. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have questions or anything, want to reach out to me, you can get my email address and just shoot me an email. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Grant.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.